The transfer window has gotten off to a rampant start, and there is a lot of stuff to get into. But at the forefront, there is this whole new scenario that's unfolding in the world of football that everybody's going to have to deal with. It's Saudi Arabia. They're buying everybody. They're offering everybody astronomical contracts, some of the biggest contracts in sports history, to come play in the Saudi Pro League. And there's a lot to dissect here. So let's just get right into it. I'm Sideline Sedo. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Comment below what are your thoughts on the Saudi Pro League. And subscribe for more footy content. I put out content just about every day. So if you enjoy it, I'll probably have something waiting for you today or tomorrow that'll get posted as well. So stay tuned. There's more to come. The main thing you need to know is that the PIF, the Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia, they have control of 4 teams. The big 4 in Saudi Arabia are Al-Ahli, Al-Ittihad, Al-hilal, and Al-Nassr. Al-Nassr obviously is where Ronaldo plays. Al-Ittihad is where Kante and Benzema are set to play. Al-hilal is where they wanted to sign Messi. And Al-Ahli, I don't know much about these teams, but what I do know is that they are owned by the PIF, the same people that own Newcastle. So they are trying to forge a kind of major top 4, big 4 in their league. To do so, they're signing a lot of marquee players. Obviously, Ronaldo, Benzema are great starts, but the league itself can't flourish with just a top-heavy marquee signing per squad. It doesn't really work like that. It's the MLS model, as many people have dubbed it, which hasn't really developed in the way that I think a lot of people would have hoped in the MLS. It's basically turned the MLS into a mini retirement league. But now with the Saudi Pro League there, I mean, why would you go retire in America if you can go and play for a generational amount of wealth in Saudi Arabia? So there's just this intense amount of turmoil in the transfer market as a result. Don't think for a second that Benzema, Ronaldo, Kante, Ruben Neves are the only people that are going to make the move to Saudi Arabia, because I could truly anticipate a lot of people, especially a lot of free agents, making big monster money switches, especially if they're aging. As an older player, you are basically given the proposition of earning double, triple, quadruple the amount of money you've earned in your whole career for just one season, and signing a multi-year deal becomes extremely lucrative and very financially beneficial to your family and yourself as an individual. Ultimately, there's the whole layer of like morality with it, where people will be like, oh, well, why are they going to go play for Saudi Arabia, this and that? But this is the same thing that we saw happen with China a few years ago, where the Chinese Super League was, bringing in Oscar, bringing in Ramirez, bringing in Hulk, all sorts of players to kind of try to craft an image around the league and to upgrade the prestige of the league by bringing in players to play at certain squads to really become more of a league outside of their domestic country. So for China, broadening the reach to the likes of Brazil seems like it would be a benefit to the league. So signing someone like Oscar or Ramirez or Hulk is a smart move in that moment. And with hindsight, it really wasn't, but it's just the way that it unfolded. And now the Saudi Pro League is taking similar steps. The wages are absolutely ridiculous. Obviously, Ronaldo's netting over 100 mil a season. Benzema's got around 100 mil. Kante's got around 100 mil. It's funny because one of the targets, and we'll get into future targets and potential moves for players who haven't made the official switch, but potential targets on the list for Saudi clubs. But one of the players on that list is Romelu Lukaku. Lukaku was offered 20 mil a season, which is a far, far cry from the 100 mil that Benzema and Kante have been offered. So I found that kind of funny, honestly. It's almost as if they watch this Champions League performance, they're like, 20 mil. Another fun fact about the Saudi Pro League is that it is now available in every country, minus the UK and the United States. So this is an interesting little dilemma that's happening. They're trying to get more people to watch. Obviously, trying to open up into bigger markets. So bringing in the players that they're bringing in, on face value, seems like a good move. But is it sustainable? Ultimately, I think they're operating at a loss just to help the league grow. Because at the end of the day, having Ronaldo play in Saudi Arabia, or having Benzema or Neves, or when they hoped that Messi would come, having those players play in your league, it gives it an added reason to watch it. I mean, if you have no interest in Saudi football, why would you watch it? But if you have an interest in Messi or Ronaldo, well, you have more chance to want to watch it. So it's just very simple why they would want to recruit these guys. The question I would say is this now the new Super League? Because ultimately, Newcastle is a team that they have in the Premier League. Obviously, there's a lot of conversation surrounding, the PIF owns Newcastle, but the country of Saudi Arabia doesn't. And there's a lot of murkiness between whether or not ultimately it is owned by the state or if it's owned by the investment fund. And that is a whole different rabbit hole we can get into in a later video. But let me just get into the players who are getting approached, who are getting contract offers, who could potentially make a switch. A lot of these players some of these players, I should say, have a huge chance to make the switch and turn a lot of money. Some of these players won't, but they are all getting approached. They are all getting some level of interest and offers on the table, something to consider. So there's a few of them. There's a lot more than what I'll state, but the players are Romelu Lukaku, Brozovic, Neymar, Pogba, Di Maria, Sergio Ramos, Riyad Mahrez, Edouard Mendy, Kalidou Koulibaly, Hakim Ziyech, Thomas Partey, Luka Modric, Eden Hazard, Iago Aspas, João Moutinho, Saul, Pepe, Alexis Sanchez, Verratti, and much, much more. There are so many players on that list who could start for Champions League teams, who could play top minutes in a top flight team, in the top half of a team. A lot of these players could be starting in the Champions League. They could be starting for title contenders in top 5 leagues across Europe. But ultimately, Saudi Arabia thinks that for them and their league, it would just ultimately be a benefit of bringing in these types of players. And I feel like out of these, 15 or so, maybe 20 players that I listed, they would probably want to get at least 10 to 15 of them, like almost all of them, right? They're going to aggressively pursue players who are free agents on the final years of their deal or out of favor or past their best. And they're going to go hard, I think. So, if the league does have some success, if it's turning a profit eventually, if there's so much sponsorships and interest in the sport, then there's no reason that younger players wouldn't want to go play there eventually. Especially if you get the likes of, say, Neymar or Mbappe one day, it could totally change the landscape of football, because then those players, they're coming to Saudi Arabia at a younger age. They're making impact on that league. They're making history in that league. The titles become more valuable as a result. If you have somebody who's, say, what Kylian Mbappe is today, but you go, say, into 2035, and there's somebody who's at Mbappe's stature and he's running down his contract as a free agent, there's a very likely possibility that those players at 24, 26, 27, like Ruben Neves' age, might be like, I'm accomplished in my domestic league. I've won a Champions League, just as an example. I've won a domestic cup. I've done everything I wanted. I've played for this club. I've played for this club. And I've got a good 4 years to where I could go and get my highest asking price in Saudi Arabia, get hundreds of millions a season, and you could still come back realistically. If you tear it up in that league and you got this insanely lucrative contract, if you really want to go back and play in Europe or in the MLS or something, there's probably no reason why you couldn't. And at the end of the day, you'd have so much cash that your whole family would be just so loaded. So my final thoughts on this is that this is just the end result of years and years of overpaying and hyper investment into the sport. Naturally, with the likes of Neymar's transfer fee and Hazard or Coutinho or Dembele, it's become more of a trend for players to go for more and more and more. And as those transfer fees, balloon in size, hundreds of millions of pounds and dollars, it naturally makes sense that the players want more money. And when the demand is there, when more players are, becoming free agents, this seems like a ripe opportunity for a country like Saudi Arabia to come in and basically promote their league to the best of their abilities. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, a lot of these players do care about success, but equally, they care about having a viable living standard moving forward. I mean, not to say that they couldn't do it already with the contracts that they're on. You know, Benzema, Kante, Ronaldo, Neves, they've made more money than just about 99.99999% of the people watching YouTube right now, not just my channel. So these people are making astronomical amounts of money. They really don't need more money, but when the opportunity is there, it's hard to say no. And I feel like if the league does become somewhat competitive, if, say, the wage structure remains consistent, it could really become a grim reaper of sorts for the Premier League. So comment below, do you think the Saudi Pro League experiment and project is going to fail? Do you think it'll be a success? What do you think of players moving there? Do you think any of those players from the list that I had listed are going to make the move? Who do you want to see go to Saudi Arabia? Do you want to see people go to Saudi Arabia, or do you want to see them stay in Europe or go to the MLS? Comment below. I want to hear your thoughts. Sound off on this because it's an absolutely huge situation in the world of footy and will be for years to come. So thank you so much for watching. Give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe for more footy content. I talk about footy just about every day and will continue to do so. I have a lot of footy content coming. I'm going to have way more coming throughout the transfer window and through the transfer window into next season. So stay tuned. I have a lot of stuff in store. I have a lot of surprises lined up. So I think you guys will like it. But once again, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm Sideline Sedo. Peace.